Parents of Reddit, what was your oh god I've raised a monster moment? Had a neighborhood kid babysitting for my little ones after school. She had some other kids over who got into the liquor cabinet. We told her divorce mom, who very indignantly told us we were lying. About a month later her dad comes to the house with a bottle of Kurswasser, alcohol used for cooking fondue, a couple cheap gold necklaces from my wife, a spare key to our house and an old checkbook from a closed bank account. He apologized profusely, and I remember him saying, "I never thought my kid would be the bad kid in the neighborhood." It was painful to see. When I watched my younger son walk out on the porch, pick up a plastic wiffle bat, look at it, look at his older brother sitting on the porch steps, look back at the bat, and then haul back, and crack his brother's head like Babe Ruth popping one out of the park. I could watch his thought process in 5 seconds time. But. Brother. But. Hit. No hesitation. When my sons were 12 and 13, the older one stole $600 from my wife and I. He gave the younger one half. When they were caught and everything was said and done, the younger son told us that we didn't have the right to take his money from him because he didn't steal it. That was when I knew. Now ages 19 and 20, the older son has long grown out of it. The younger one has never stopped stealing and lying. Before moving out he told me that he has always resented me for locking things up and, I'm quoting him here, "not letting me take whatever I want from you." It amazes me because we raised all 4 of our kids the same way and the other 2 have always been good kids and kind-hearted. Oh well. This chilling conversation with my then 4.5-year-old daughter. "Mommy, do you love me?" "Of course my darling. I love you forever and always, no matter what. Even after I kill little brother's name." Sweet as pie smile on her face and serious look in her eye. At the time she had recently learned to tie knots and I'd already had to take her jump ropes away as I'd found her with one tied around little brother's neck pretending he was a horsey. When I was a teenager my friend's little brother had a ton of psychotic tendencies. A couple of examples I remember is him putting their dog in a cooler and suffocating it because it was being annoying. Also he once ran into my friend's room, handed me a knife, went to the kitchen, and sliced his own arm, and proceeded to tell his parents that I cut him. What is even weirder is that, even when they saw me holding a knife they didn't believe him for a second. Well, about 3 years ago he shot his dad, so I'd say he was / a monster. When our 13-year-old decided to steal $200 that was hidden in my desk 1 week before Christmas, he then spent it all in one day on candy and yelled at us for confiscating what was left of it. He also told us it was our fault for leaving money in the house. To confirm that he is a horrible person, he told his mum that he doesn't like seeing anyone else happy, which is why he broke his 1-year-old brother's things. My mom found out a lack of parenting with my brother went wrong when he tried to choke me out for accidentally kicking him. I don't even remember being choked, but apparently it was so bad he had to go to anger management and therapy for 3 years. Years ago, my wife and I had a very heated argument. Our daughter overhears us and comes into the room just as things hit their peak. My wife rushes into the bathroom crying. I'm left sitting on the bed feeling low, listening to my wife sob on the other side of the door. Our daughter looks up at me with a smile and says mom is crying, and proceeds to laugh loud enough for mom to hear. And with that, I was in trouble for something entirely new. Okay, this is not my kid, but my mom found out she was raising an asshole when we were out baby clothes shopping with my pregnant aunt, whose first baby had died a few days after birth a year or 2 earlier, and my brother says, "What are you buying it clothes for when you don't even know it's going to live?" My 6-year-old has always had weird interests. She asked me to show her pictures of what's in our bodies. I showed her diagrams on Google, and she said, "No, I mean inside of a real body. Like a dead person." I showed her some random picture of an arm surgery, and she was begging for more. Also she always asks me to stop, so she can look at dead animals on the road. When my childhood dog died, she tried to sneak and look inside the bag while I was bawling. We are really pushing for the medical field, and not a serial killer field. Teaching my kid the value of money. We'd give her tuck shop / snack money in the day, and we later found out she was just giving it away, not understanding the value of money at all. A few long deep conversations, where I hate to admit I became a capitalist poster boy later, and she starts to understand that money has a value, how hard it can be to get, and that it's even harder to keep. Fast forward a few weeks later, we run out of milk and I only have my card and no cash on me, plus our local shop will only now accept card purchases over £10. So I figure I'll ask my darling angel little girl if I can borrow £1 for milk and put it back tomorrow. No, you can't have my money, daddy. I earned it, and you need to learn responsibility. That money doesn't just fall from the sky, and you can't just go around giving everything away, as pretty soon you'll have nothing. I suck at parenting. I have 2 sons. One is 11 and the other 7. The 7-year-old is special, highly intelligent and very social, but also does a lot of deep thinking. Early one Sunday morning he came up to me, out of the blue, and said, "Dad, how do ducks work?" I was all, "How to what? What? Ducks?" In a half sleep state. Before I could work out what he wanted to know, he said, "I guess if I open one up, I'll find out," and walked away. Honestly spent a good hour looking for ducks and watched him carefully when he went near the kitchen utensils. Edit. Oh yeah, there was also the time when he learned how to float in a pool after watching a documentary about shipwrecks. He could swim, but never relax and float on his back. He can now, he just pretends to be a dead body floating away. Thanks YouTube. My 11 years old son recently called 911 and said I slapped him. CPS came, it was a cluster. It was so well orchestrated, he even took a picture of himself with a red mark on his face. I didn't slap him and it eventually got debunked, although he still won't admit it. A couple months later, he told his dad I forced him to make the old dirty 2-finger licking gesture, take a pic, and send it to him. He lives with his dad now, and isn't allowed here until I can afford a camera system. Still unclear on a motive. Today, my 3-year-old dipped her cantaloupe in ketchup and ate a whole plate of it. When my son blithely told me he wants to play the documentary Under the Curve for his classmates because he is trying to convince them the world is flat. He admits he knows it is not, but he is trying, actively, to con them into thinking it is. My kid was 12 at the time. We were driving their friend home after a sleepover. They were taking turns roasting each other in the back seat. Then my kid says, "Your parents probably knew you would stutter, that's why they named you Aaron." Yes, he did have a stuttering problem. "Daddy, can you get me this game called The Sims?" "Sure, surprised you've heard of it." "Oh yeah, Susie says it's so much more satisfying killing people instead of the pigs I kill in Minecraft." Is your main reason for playing video games so you can kill things? Well, keeps me from doing it in real life, so I don't see the problem with that. Then she winked at me. I still don't know if she was just effing with me. When my son decided, in the grocery store parking lot, that it would be fun to scream, "You're not my mommy, where's my mommy, you're not my real mom." He had this evil smirk on his face as I panicked and tried to explain what could happen if someone heard that. He started yelling it louder. He told me that pouring hot water on daddy would be so funny. When my daughter was much younger, she and my ex's son talked at great length about how fun it would be to chop me up, cook my body, and throw me away. My 3-year-old was given a small Fisher-Price trampoline for his birthday. It's like 3 feet in diameter. A few months later, we got invited to take him to Sky Zone, which is a giant indoor warehouse that is wall-to-wall trampolines. It's effing awesome. So my wife turns to my son and says, "Hey buddy, do you want to go to the trampoline place?" Without missing a beat, my kid rolls his eyes at her, jerks his thumb towards the Fisher-Price one, and says, in the most condescending tone a 3-year-old could muster, "I have one." Not the parent, but my mom told me that when she was pregnant with me, my half-brother tried to convince her to swallow a steak knife so that it would cut me up and she would have an abortion. Then when I was I think 7, he turned on the shower, put on a movie for me and my sister and snuck out while he was supposed to be babysitting to go pick up his girlfriend in my dad's car, which he then wrecked. In his adult years, he's beaten the Jack Russell Terrier puppy to death and at one point tried to commit suicide by downing a bottle of melatonin. There's more, but I don't think anyone will believe me as it is. Oh man, too many to list. The most recent is when my son shot me with his Nerf gun directly in my eyeball. My eye still hurts a week later. A couple of weeks ago, my other son pooped on the floor, he's 3, and put a donut on top of it to hide it.